the fuck did I do? I'm just chilling. God, fuck yourself.
Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and Connor, we played the first hour of Prey.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we went to New York City, and we sat down at this really nice suite called the Heaven Over Hell's, looking over Hell's Kitchen. Pretty interesting.
It's crazy.
Connection to the game, actually, because when you wake up, you have that same exact view almost of over the city.
Yeah, true.
Today, we're going to be talking about that first hour of Prey, our impressions on it, how we think it's going to carry into the rest of the game, and just overall what we saw. So I thought it was a pretty strong start just overall, mainly because we saw the beginning of the game in demos and trailers, but it was that moment when you like broke through the glass and realized it was just all a simulation.
How you create your player to see like how your experience will go along the way is awesome, but then at the same time, this is the first hour that everyone is going to experience.
So what did you think, just overall impressions on the first hour?
First hour was actually pretty mind-fucking, if that makes sense. You sit there and their whole perspective of the credits in the beginning, I thought that was fucking cool because you're literally sitting there and going through like the skyline. I thought it was awesome the way that they brought you into the intro. You
The
go
text was on the buildings.
It was fucking cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
The game really focused on, I'd say, immersion. It really wanted you to be gripped into that experience without even a second of the game going by. And I think a lot of that was through some of the first-person interaction. For example, use skill points is through a neuromod, and you bring a needle right into your eye.
That part cringed me out, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
like, ugh. That's something you're gonna have to get used to if you don't like needle eyes. For example, in Dead Space, that stuff was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was cool.
But yeah, overall, I was really impressed with what they set up there. It seems like the story is going to be one that wants to play with your mind. The first hour really showed that they can do that. It definitely left me really curious. That final
me too.
moment. Yeah, that was something that really left me thinking, I want to know what happens next. Mind you, this is just the first hour. It could change. It could get horrible.
I know that there's a different location and stuff like that too. It's really cool. I love it how it just, you're sitting there and you're going through your daily life. You think you're going through your daily life and boom. Oh man, and those freaking mimics, dude.
Yeah, let's talk about the
scares, bro.
Well, yeah, we had YouTubers behind us freaking out. I'm like, are we getting into like a scary game here? But when I was playing, I might not have had as good of a gameplay experience as everyone else, because for me, the mimics didn't do anything special.
Crazy.
They didn't jump out from a different object on me.
No, you're not the only one though.
They didn't jump into an object. They were just kind of in the room and I shot them. That was it for me.
Yeah, and there was like a noise that came out of the environment. Like you kind of heard something in the background.
Like a static?
Or like there was like a meter too of how they noticed you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like that's not that bad. It wasn't too many, but I got a couple of jump scares in there.
Yeah,
because they did jump out of, no, but they did jump out of a couple things for me too. So I mean, I don't know. It's probably a different experience. But
that's the thing is that Rafael Colantonio did a little Skype kind of interview with all of us.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And he gave us some answers on the game itself, and he said that it's fully dynamic. So one playthrough, when you walk into a room, maybe that coffee mug is the mimic, but the next time it might be a plant. So the issue with this dynamic thing, and this comes with any game that really tries to be that overly flexible, is you'll have what happened to me, which is nothing will transform, that the mimic won't do anything. So for me, I was just walking in, clearing rooms, and it was just a disheartening experience in a way for me, because I really loved what I played, and I could see the idea there, but since they weren't transforming and surprising me, it was just walking and clearing out of room enemies, and that was it. Now mind you, I'm generalizing because, for example, you'd walk into a room and it'd be almost like Deus Ex where you'd have a bunch of emails.
That was interesting to me. I was like, I'm getting a familiar vibe from this. And playing the last Deus Ex, it's definitely like that as well, because you're going through like the different computers at the desk and stuff like that.
Passwords,
passwords and hacking and stuff like that, which is cool. I like Deus Ex. I mean, some people are controversial about that whole subject, and I think it was an awesome kind of detail to it, because the neuromods, you can actually get hacking, you can get all this different kinds of stuff. So I thought that was an interesting part of the story as well.
Yeah, so what these neuromods are that we've been referring to is based off what I was reading in the game, because that's what took me a lot of my time in that first hour, was I was sitting down and reading everything. And what it seems to be is that you put this device in your brain if you have like a special talent or ability or piece of knowledge, and from there you can put that piece from the neuromod in someone else's brain, and it can imprint it onto them, making them like a better human, a better contribution to society. So naturally, this is kind of one of those utopian thoughts, rather, that just goes horribly wrong and transforms into something that they didn't expect it to. We were talking about inspiration. You can see this game takes from a lot of games. I saw BioShock Deus Ex, Portal, but still at the end, it felt like an arcade game, which is good because that means that they're still making it their own shit.
True.
Even though they're taking inspiration from stuff. Like, think of Dishonored. We played Dishonored 2 a ton.
Love
and
it.
then look at Prey. You can still see that arcane.
I agree. You can kind of see that arcane feeling to the game, the arcane environment.
You go into an area and you'll see there's a password that you need. It's optional, but you can go back.
Always want to go back.
Yeah, always want to go back. Speaking of going back though, think of how the map was broken up. Did you like that? Where it was basically this, you don't want to call it an open world, but it was multiple hubs throughout the game where you could go back and forth. Like I said, much like a BioShock, much like a Deus Ex. Did you like how the game was built that way?
Yeah, I didn't mind it, and especially when it comes to that's the first environment, and it's got so many different hallways,
Yeah,
so many
it was
different
pretty overwhelming.
locked doors, so many different, there's safes and stuff like that you can get to, and I thought that was really cool because you're trying to get the weapon mod throughout the environment, and then I thought that was so cool. How it was like a space compactor thing that just straight up took your weapon, the materials, and then gave you elements to make your stuff. Like I was saying before, that's kind of based off of the different areas of the map that you can go into. And when even if you're going along with the story, you can still go into a different part of that map, like a hallway that leads somewhere else, that leads you to these things which upgrade your weapons and have different materials and stuff.
I really liked the focus on environmental storytelling, like we were talking about with the emails, but also I was asking you, yo, where's a map? And you pointed out to me, you're like, look right there, and there was a little billboard that had each floor mapped out.
It tells you, like, there's no actual mini map.
Yeah.
You're going through the environment. You have to look at these maps to see which way you're going.
Yeah, you actually have to be there consciously active in the game itself, which I think is a really good touch. Now, mind you, you can get a map. I found that out because I downloaded it off a computer, but it was hard to find.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get a map, but still, to find that map, you actually have to, A, look for it, but B, if you don't have a map, it's not like you're missing everything.
Okay.
You can still find your way around, which is what you pointed out.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's awesome. There's two different ways you can do it, even if you don't find that map, which they kind of hid very well.
Yeah, they did. It was tucked away in a computer. It was really just off the beaten path entirely. So that's another thing, is they give you a lot of rooms to explore that I think reward your exploration in terms of storytelling. I don't know if you got to this room. It was almost like a museum. There was like different pictures. It would say like 1965.
Yeah, I kind of ran through that, and all they said was like 1920, 1930.
Yeah.
I was just like,
you didn't listen to
what is going on?
I did that the first time, and I was like, I got to go back and listen to each of these. It sets up a backstory in a way that I thought was pretty cool, because it was, once again, it's one of those things that's not like a typical, here's an audio log, which the game has, or here's a text log, which fills in little, I don't want to say blanks, but just little pieces of the universe here and there on what was happening during this catastrophe.
Gives me that kind of like you said, different feelings from different games, but then I also got a little bit of a Dead Space vibe in there too.
That's a good point.
And I was excited about that because I'm like, these creatures are gonna come at me. Like, I'm just gonna beat the crap out of them with my wrench.
I just gotta repeat it, honestly. BioShock, dude. That, for example, when you got the glue gun and you're freezing up the mimics and you're taking out your wrench and beating them, I'm telling you, throw the freeze plasmid and then you take out your wrench and you beat them
the crap out
until they crack open into pieces. Literally tick for tack, the same thing.
True.
They definitely took inspiration from BioShock. I'm not complaining.
Neither am I. I love that game too. I remember when we did have the Skype conference call with Raphael, I asked him the question about customization and how you can scrap for stuff. Like I said before, you put that into like the machine and you get the scrap element. I kind of asked him, how deep does it go? And he answered it with the best response I could think of, is that each character is going to customize to each thing. If some person makes another wrench, or if some person makes like bullets, depends on how you're going to play the game, of what you're going to create.
It was a surprising amount of things you could do with your character and that you can control how you played, which I didn't expect. I expected something a little more linear, a little more down the beaten path. Everything changes once you get to that big lobby area, and you just see how much you can explore, where you can go, what weapons you can do, what you can create, what you can upgrade. Completely opens up after that first hour.
Yeah, once you got the glue gun, then once you get like the shotgun, the pistol, like those are the only things that we saw from the beginning of the game, which I thought was really cool because you can upgrade those weapons as well.
Do you think the mimics are gonna get monotonous, like that constant, oh, surprise, here's a mimic from a coffee cup, or here's a mimic from a computer monitor? You think that's ever like, let's say we're playing this game it's a Bethesda published game, it's from Arcane, let's say it's like 15 hours. Okay. You think there's going to be a point where you're going to be like, oh my god, enough?
In my opinion, no.
Okay.
Because what I think is that they're going to, you're kind of going to get used to it, to the point where it's not going to bother you when you play it. It's going to be like, where's it coming from next? You know, what am I gonna see? How is it gonna transform itself? You know, and I don't think it's gonna get to the point where you're like, oh god, this is annoying, like where you're gonna be like, okay, you're there, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna keep surprising you, like you said. It's just gonna, they could be in a different area, like they could be somewhere else, you know, and you might not even expect it. He even said in the interview about the 2 trash cans, and then how he was like, is one a mimic, is one gonna attack me?
And it actually wasn't.
There's not just mimics, there was like a phantom and stuff like that. So
for reference, the phantom is the really bigger version of the mimic who's tougher.
Well, that we saw, we don't know if there's gonna be
there could be more. There most likely is more, I'd imagine. Overall, we were pretty happy with the product in general. I'm definitely confident with what they presented to us. Mind you, tiny sample size in the scheme of things.
Yeah, and the fact that they said it was only the first hour, and it's like, I went through and explored a lot in the first hour.
This stuff could be subject to change. It could end up just not being the game we thought it was. But overall, that first hour was definitely something that was a confidence booster. Not that we were skeptical on this game.
No, it makes me more excited to see what they're gonna bring to the table.
Just compared to other hands-ons we've had, this was one that we walked away pretty happy about.
Satisfied, not worrying about it, not trying
like
to see
this
the
was a little
flaw,
off.
you know what I mean? Arcane has produced Dishonored and Dishonored 2, which are great games. I'm excited for what I'm going to see because they kill it.
We hope we informed you guys on Prey. If you have any questions, fire away in the comments down below. Once again, be sure to contribute to the Patreon. It helps fuel all the content we create here. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.